Today on the podcast, I've managed to corner Drew Rechner and Emil Majanovic. The goal? Well, pick their brains and find out as much about the characters, progression, and customization in our game as possible. Sound like a plan? I'm Hamish Bode, and you're listening to the official The Division podcast.
Back to West.
All right, guys, welcome. We're doing another podcast thing.
Thank you.
Yes. All right. Who have I got here? Well, I know, but let's make sure that people know.
My name is Emil. I'm one of the senior character artists here on the project.
Perfect. All right, and
I'm Drew.
Stranger? Who are you?
I'm Drew. I'm a game designer. I work with NPCs in combat.
Perfect. I straight away regret my decision to bring Drew in because his voice is like perfect. It's like
No,
radio guy.
no.
He does have
it's-
like a very radio.
Well, every time I hear myself, I'm always like, "Oh my god, I sound terrible."
No,
No,
It's
yeah,
good.
I
See,
agree with Hamish.
me and Emil sound like full rat. It's like terrible.
Yeah, that's right.
No,
It's
but
just,
I did like all the temp recordings, right? For because they're like, "Oh, you're an American, like you can do temp recordings." So I did it.
That's
and,
the qualifier. You're American.
Yeah, exactly. And so then I got to listen to myself. I'm like, I sound terrible. I sound so awful.
That's funny that like I think it was you and Tim did a lot of the temp recordings
Yes,
as well.
but he was good.
Tim, they're so funny, but he does all the females as well.
what?
Have
Really?
you heard it?
No.
Tim Atkins, the one of the sound guys.
Okay,
Who's
no.
doing all the NPC voices.
Wow.
It's awesome and hilarious and also impressive. It's this crazy mix.
Right. Are they
That's
doing any sound modulation to getting him more feminine
No,
voice?
he just he can do it.
Wow.
No, yeah,
That's
It was
quite
a bit
impressive.
Monty Python-esque, but it was kind of in a wonderful way.
Yes.
Yeah.
His American accent was really good, actually.
Really?
Yeah, it was.
Oh. Mostly, it usually falls flat. My American accent's terrible.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna.
Yeah,
demo it.
me either, man.
Yeah,
Terrible as well.
we should force Drew to do it in Anzac accent for the whole thing.
That would be great.
Yeah.
That
Oh,
would
it
be
would
great.
be-
Make us feel at home.
Because so just so people know, Emil, you're from Melbourne.
Melbourne, Australia. That's correct.
Yes, where there's a place called Batman Street,
There is a place called Batman. I think it's Batman Avenue, actually.
Batman Avenue.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the best part about Melbourne.
That's amazing.
Well, one of the.
No, it's the only thing.
Okay, it's the only thing that's good about Melbourne.
Andrew from Houston.
I lived there before moving to Sweden, but originally from Akron, Ohio.
Akron, Ohio.
Yeah, home of LeBron James.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow. Okay. Were you guys bros?
absolutely.
Did you dunk all over him?
Absolutely. Yeah, I taught him everything he knows.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I can tell.
absolutely. Yeah. I'm 5'9". Yeah.
Yes. Exactly. So, I mean, you guys talked a little bit about, well, you said your title, but Emil, tell us a bit more about what you do from like day to day. Obviously,
Right.
you're on the character side of things.
I get to do all the cool stuff, I guess. It's
Yeah.
getting an awesome piece of concept work from the concept team.
Mm-hmm.
It's generally sort of gone through a good design process, which may be something that Drew would be a part of. And we work from there, and then we just sit in ZBrush and in Maya and in all the other cool stuff, and we get to sculpt and model all our
Awesome.
characters.
What kind of I know that you guys, ZBrush for people who don't know is like digital sculpting
Essentially, yeah.
stuff, and
it's
that's
very much-
become more a part of the workflow in the past like
Yep.
5 years, I guess.
Oh, I would say even further back than that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But it's
yeah.
become pretty prolific.
Oh, yeah,
like-
absolutely. Yeah, it's become more. It's a common tool that's used by almost anybody.
Because you can do a
these
lot
days.
more in it now than you
Yeah.
could before. right?
Yeah. I guess originally it was just very much just exactly what you're saying, like a digital sculpting package. And with each update they release, they tend to introduce a whole bunch of new stuff, which even I have no idea even exists. Like somebody walk up to me like, "Oh, you can do this." I'm like, "Wow, I had no idea that existed," and it was from like 5 versions ago.
Yeah.
So
I
yeah.
remember like being like, "Oh, there's Z spheres," but I know that's like 4 or 5 years ago now.
Yeah,
yeah,
right,
yeah,
right.
Or was
very
that 4
much.
years ago?
Yeah.
But and so you I know in the studio different people use different kind of traditional 3D modeling programs. Are you using Maya? You
Yeah,
said?
I use Maya specifically. Yeah, it's actually quite strange. Back in the day, like Maya would almost be the tool that I would use for almost everything, from building my base mesh to even doing some high poly stuff, and then obviously rebuilding my low poly, doing all my UVs. But these days, I feel like I only use Maya for just unwrapping. and not much else, which is really strange that you're using this really high-end 3D package to unwrap your models.
Yeah.
That's
Just
crazy.
yeah, just because like you're saying with the tools that ZBrush has, you can actually build a really quick base mesh within ZBrush, and then you can just work from there without ever having to use another 3D package.
So you're not even using like a third-party plugin or anything for your UVs? It's
No, just the default Maya UVs, but I guess also using things like Marvelous Designer as well.
Yeah.
That helps get us a really solid base for a lot of our folds and things like that. It's something that we've been experimenting with as well to either speed up process and also get us something a bit more realistic as well.
Yeah, because I haven't ever used Marvelous Designer.
Yeah.
Can you explain a little bit about what it does and why
Yeah.
it's cool? Because I've come past and seen what you've been doing with it, and it's awesome.
I'm actually quite new to it myself as well. Essentially, it is almost like, once again, a digital cloth making software. It works like very much like traditional clothing or textile stuff. It's essentially you build a pattern for your clothing, and you put in all where you want your stitches. You align it to your base mesh, and you let it simulate, and then the cloth actually simulates based on settings or like preset values that you have.
Cool. So you
for
can
those
like
clothes.
set like the density of the fabric, or
Essentially, yeah, very much. Like
That's
you can
awesome.
choose
That's
like
really cool.
it
Yeah.
actually goes back like into like full traditional fabric stuff where it actually uses like weft and warp, which are two terms that never used.
I'm learning. I'm learning a lot. Okay. Me and Drew are like,
Oh,
Yeah,
what?
this is
No,
stuff.
no,
that,
this is the stuff we need to know.
yeah, but
Yeah.
this is stuff that I'm only like just picking up as well, and yeah, it goes. It's quite intense.
Sorry, what and warp?
Weft
Weft.
and warp. Yeah, essentially, I am going to get this wrong. So any of you fabric nerds out there can correct me.
I bet there's so many people out there who are like, okay,
yeah.
now's your time.
Yeah.
It's the test.
Essentially, I think it's the weft is the weave that goes from left to right, and warp is the weave that goes from up to down, and how they intersect with each other and the
Wow.
density of each one. And
Oh, so these aren't just digital terms. It's like traditional.
yeah,
Yeah.
very
cloth
much so.
making
Yeah,
stuff.
like Marvelous was actually designed purely as didn't have game development in mind at all. It was literally made as it was actually called like Clo 3D, which I think was like Clothing 3D or something.
Whoa.
So, and then they obviously rebranded as Marvelous Designer, and now it's actually quite big within the game development community. So it's like,
That's
yeah,
cool.
yeah, it's come a long way.
That's awesome. So you actually get like a digital loom where you
Yeah,
can like
in a way.
kind of figure out all this.
Yeah,
That's
like
really
yeah,
cool.
it's quite crazy, and like you
That's
can change quite a
crazy.
lot of settings, and yeah, I still have no idea what half the sliders do, and yeah,
So-
yeah,
Hopefully it goes to the same like level where we can print these. Well, send these like patterns out to other
actually
people.
you could.
What?
That is very quite possible.
I'm half joking, but
No, that is actually like it is almost like usually if I'm working on something that I'm not entirely sure how to tackle, I will actually look up correct patterns for sewing and clothing
Yeah.
making to get as a base, and then I will kind of follow that as a guide and then go, okay, well, it works.
so there might be a way to get some of these assets produced.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. If
Alright.
we've set them up correctly in Marvelous, we could actually send them to a clothing maker or a clothing designer, and they could actually just go, hey, well, yeah, this is
All right.
Exactly
We'll
what
see
I
if there's enough demand
I-
for that. But I want one.
I see where your head's at.
Yeah. I'm like, I want
I
that
see
jacket
what you're
that you were
thinking.
working on. I'll like run around, come to work in a full hazmat suit,
Yep,
and be
yeah,
like,
pretty
yeah.
much. Yeah.
You guys will be like, that's crazy. I'll be like, but Emil made it. It's cool, guys.
Well, there you go. And it's as accurate as can be, I guess.
That's awesome. And Andrew, what is it that your day to day looks like?
Yeah. So
Do you get to make clothes?
I
You have a sewing
it's
machine. and you
nothing
do?
that interesting, right? Yeah.
I think it is.
No, it's so at the kind of start of the project, it was a lot more about kind of paper design. We have a number of different factions and a number of different enemies in each faction, and it was a lot about, what kind of enemies do we want to see? What kind of challenges do we want to present to the player?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of that, a lot of meeting as well with guys like Emil and concept art and animation, audio teams, like all sorts of people, kind of giving everyone on the same page. Narrative team, and then after that, it's been pretty much implementation. So I do a lot of visual scripting. We have this amazingly versatile and powerful scripting language for we call it behavior tree editing. but
Is that all inside of Snowdrop, or is it?
yeah, it's all inside Snowdrop, exactly. Yeah, but
There's
it's
some mega nerds who have figured out all of that system. That's awesome.
yeah, but it's awesome. It's a visual scripting language, so it's like super easy to use. I have a little bit of a scripting background, so I know how to script, but visual scripting is just it's just remarkable. It's great.
Okay, I'm a complete I have complete
Yeah.
ignorance on the subject. So the visual scripting language, what does that mean? So I'm sitting down at a computer and I want to
Yeah.
script something. Is it with like a node based?
Yeah, exactly. It's
okay.
node based. Yeah, it's like Kismet from Unreal 3 or
Okay. Now,
whatever they're calling it now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
Blueprints
Kismet
now.
and Matinee
Yeah.
and that stuff in
Yeah.
Unreal, but okay,
Yeah, yeah.
Alright, so
it's similar to that.
because
Yeah,
usually
exactly.
I mean a lot of people when doing game development, and I've kind of done like little bits of everything and kind of sucked the whole process, but
Yeah.
enough to kind of understand what you're talking about. But my interaction with nodes has more been on like the materials and shader type.
Yeah,
thing.
right, exactly. I think they kind of started there, or level
Yeah.
script maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's where
Yeah.
I've mainly seen a lot of sort of the node-based scripting stuff has always been with shader generation, and now it's actually just becoming
Yeah.
a really common thing within most engines. And I think
Yeah.
it's a step in the right direction, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly. I know, I think Unreal 4, everything is node-based, and Snowdrop, I think everything is node-based as well.
Yeah.
I
That's-
mean, everything from our object editor to behavior editor to, almost everything, and it's awesome.
That's really cool. I mean,
Really.
it makes it hopefully, I'm assuming, a bit more accessible for guys
Yeah,
like you
exactly.
and I who probably have had some experience sitting down in Notepad and
Yeah,
and
exactly.
like typing everything out. And you're like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Right,
Like,
right.
but with this, you can kind of actually see.
Yeah, exactly.
what
No
you're
more,
creating. Be like-
no more like compiling and
Yeah.
damn, I forgot a semicolon. None
Yeah,
of that.
you can be like, if this, then that, and you can actually see
Right.
what these things mean. Oh,
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
really cool.
So
Yeah, it helps for rapid prototyping as well, because it just
Yeah.
allows someone like any one of us. We don't need a coder. We can go in there. We can
Yeah.
actually play with some things, and if we find that it is limiting, then that's when we actually can approach a coder. That way we can
So you don't break
Yeah.
the whole build every
essentially.
time.
Yeah,
yeah,
Like, oh, Emil, you broke the whole game.
that's it. For the third time this week.
Yeah.
and it's something too is like with behaviors of NPCs, they're pretty complex, right? They do a lot of different things. They
Yeah.
think. Here I am doing air quotes in a microphone, hitting the mic stand, but
Yeah, I do.
but they think
Look at this.
a lot of different things, so there's a lot to do. So actually being a designer and having control over implementing everything, is super empowering.
That's
It's really nice, it means that I don't have to just write something on a piece of paper and say, hey, can you implement this for me, to some coder. I can do it myself, which is great.
That's really cool. I
So-
wanted to ask you guys next what excites you most about the game, and it can be anything. All right, it doesn't have to pertain to your jobs. It can be absolutely anything. And you
Interesting.
have
Do you want to kick off, or shall I?
Now you go for it.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
I guess the thing that really excites me most is something that I know I've had a great deal in working on, and it was something that I wanted to see for our game, and it's something that we briefly spoke about in the community video a while back,
yeah.
and it was just the character customization.
Yeah.
Mm,
I
absolutely.
really, it was something. It was a brainchild of myself and the lead concept artist Tom. We just sat one day and we just wanted to figure out a way how we can get multi-layered customization, and
Super cool.
yeah, and it was something that we thought we'd never be able to get done, and it took a lot of sketches. It took a lot of I don't know, back and forth and coming up with some ideas, and some, once again, like using the node system to prototype this thing,
Awesome.
and that's how I was able to get it to going first.
That's really cool. I mean, before we move on to Drew, I think there's a lot of information inside that system, and it's something we should definitely talk about. I
Sure.
mean, in that Q&A
Yeah.
we did a while back, there were some images that we put in,
Yep.
which was the first time we saw it,
Mhm.
which was the kind of cosmetic slots,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So there's, from my understanding, some stat-based slots and
Mhm.
some cosmetic slots.
Yep. That's correct.
Can you explain a bit more how that whole thing works?
Yeah, absolutely. It was one of those things where we want the player to feel progression. So we need to have gear that has stats. And as you sort of progress, you'll find better stuff, and then you equip it and you feel more powerful as you go on. But then you tend to run into the same problem that once you get to the end game, everybody's wearing the same high level gear, and
Yeah.
then everybody
Right,
looks identical. And we wanted to come up with a way where we could actually get people to dress how they want to dress from the start of the game. They can look almost identical from the start of the game to the end of the game if that's what they want. So it's just a matter of finding which articles of clothing or gear will help translate to be more of a vanity thing or cosmetic, and what will actually work well as a stat-bearing system. And that was a lot of back and forth with the design team as well, and trying to find that balance so that way they can have gear that will actually show progression, and also for us as artists to be able to show, hey, check out this really cool stuff you can wear.
Nice.
And the cool thing about it is that, like you can, there's quite a lot of layers involved with that, so you can actually toggle a lot of things on and off, so you can actually choose to be like this big sort of winter prepared guy, or you can just be this kind of like really sort of slimmed down, stealthy style looking character as well.
Is there some sort of visual progression of like the rarity of cosmetic items? Is there like a big like breadth from like, common green shirt to like not, like a tie-dyed crazy thing, but like,
Right.
like is there something that's a bit more like badass like for
That's actually
cosmetic?
that's
kind of
quite a good question. I think that would come down to the designers to answer that. As far as where we just made stuff that looked cool. We had as much variety as we could get. Like we wanted to have if somebody wanted to wear a classic hiking jacket, then they can. If they want to wear like a leather jacket, they can.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if that unlocks as the like in sort of a higher tier zone, you might get something that looks cooler or whatever.
Yeah.
That I'm not entirely sure, to be honest.
So exactly how people get them and that sort of thing is I guess that's something people have to find out, or maybe you know more about that, Drew.
I don't.
Okay, that's it.
If stuff has stats on it, I'm more knowledgeable about it.
Okay.
But if it's
I just make stuff
vanity,
look pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's okay, right.
I'm like, I just care about stuff with stats.
Yeah, exactly. But the so with the cosmetic things, it's really gives people their preference.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. It is. So,
Alright.
so I guess if you find something really cool, I'm pretty sure you can find something really cool from the start, and then you can wear it to the end, and then maybe you might find something that you're like, oh yeah, this looks okay, but then you'll stumble across something you're like, holy crap, man, I look so rad with this. And the customization isn't just the actual clothing itself. Like we have sort of color variations as well and things like that. So they will all vary as well. So you can be wearing the same jacket as the same people in your party, but you all might have different colored version of it as well, so you can still look quite different.
Yeah.
So I think we did some number running a while back based on all the gear we have. I think there was in the tens of thousands of variations that you could potentially have, including like color in each individual item. So for instance, like one variation would be what I'm wearing now, but then I change out my shoes. That's one variation. Then I change out another pair of shoes. But then as it exponentially grows, it actually is like
it gets out of control.
Yeah, it is. It's quite large.
And we have a ton of variation as well in weapons as well. I mean, there's like it's crazy across the board. Like we were actually playing in the playtest yesterday. We had a a big playtest kind of studio wide, and I mean, we played for like 3 hours or something, and like our characters, I mean, we looked awesome, and we were like super different, and we just looked badass, man. It was great.
Yeah,
it's
really actually
great.
really cool to see it actually in action, because it was one of those things where it was the designing process. Like it took us a while to prototype it, and then it was a matter of is this actually viable, because it can be quite costly in terms of like just getting it running in the engine. And somehow we managed to make it work, and I'm actually really proud to sort of see it in there, and it's really cool sort of running
really
around
cool.
and seeing it happen, and then once you loot something and then you put it on and it's like, wow, it actually just works. And
It's really such a cool feeling. I was down
Super
in
cool.
South Africa on the weekend, random.
Because
as you do.
Because the Rage Expo was down there, and they I went down for some interviews and stuff. But I had those same moments where like people would ask me a question, and I would think about like playtests we'd had recently, and I'm like got this huge grin on my face because I'm like, there's awesome stuff happened. I mean, I can't talk about all of it, but it's really starting to feel super cool.
Yeah.
Drew, okay, we talked a lot about Emil's exciting thing.
Yeah.
What are you most excited about in the game?
Oh man, I think this is maybe a little bit selfish, but personally, I'm kind of excited about the number of NPCs we have and kind of the variety of gameplay they kind of provide.
Yeah.
Like I think that it was we were really ambitious with everything kind of on this project, right? Like I think that's just like a
Absolutely.
theme for the project, right?
Yeah.
but we were like kind of crazy ambitious with like the number of NPCs we wanted to achieve, like how different they were, and we actually like pretty much accomplished what we set out to do. So that was really exciting. So
The other thing I wanted to ask you guys, since we were just talking about it, like we have playtests and things. Do you have any pro tips for people for when they get their hands on the game? Obviously, people are playing the demo around the world
yeah,
at various expos and stuff, which is a very, 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 very small taste of what's to come.
right.
Are there any kind of tips you have for when you're playing the game that work well for you?
Wow. It's actually a really interesting question to ask, just because sometimes during playtests I'll actually get up and walk around to see how other people play,
Mm-hmm.
and it's so strange seeing the different playstyles that everybody adopts. Because there'll be a certain sort of set of skills that I would like to use, and then you would go and look over the next person, and they're using a completely different set of skills. And I'm like, oh man, I just don't find them useful. But they're like, no, you do it for this and this. And it's like,
Yeah.
I never saw it that way. I don't. The only advice and tips I can give to anybody is just play it how you want to play it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's kind of what we really wanted to do with the game, was to give the players to have their own fantasy of what they want to be as the agent, which is like, once again, going back with customizing your guy to look how you want it to look like.
Mm-hmm.
And with the skills that you have, you want to play it how you want
Yeah.
to play it.
Yeah, you can really make it work. Like,
Yeah,
If
absolutely.
you're like,
Yeah.
I really like this skill. If you know exactly how to leverage the strengths of that skill or whatever, it seems that like you can really make it work. Well,
No, it's absolutely true.
Also, use covers.
Yeah, oh my God,
Use covers.
Use covers.
yeah, I-
Please
I,
do. Please do.
I've seen some people playing. They haven't done in South Africa a little bit. They'd jump up on the top of covers to kind of get like the high ground,
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
which seems like a good idea. Like, but you're
At
so
first
visible.
glance, yeah.
You're so visible.
Then you expose your entire body, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
It's,
it's exactly. It's one
Yeah.
of those things where you'll jump up because you see that one person. You're like, oh, cool, I got an open shot, but then you don't see the 2 or 3 guys flanking you
Yeah.
from the other side,
Yeah.
and you're like, oh, what?
To be fair, the players who did jump up on like a higher vantage point, like right in the middle of everything, they
Yeah.
here. Realized, oh my God, I should
Yeah,
be
right.
here. This
Yeah,
is
of
not
course.
working.
Yeah.
Of course.
What about you, Drew?
Yeah. So, I think, I mean, I definitely agree with what Emil said, but I think for me, one of the things that as I watch people play, something that I've noticed as a trend is people play longer. They figure this out, but it's to kind of more slowly approach combat spaces and basically scope out the situation and make a plan before you attack.
Yeah.
The game is, pretty difficult if you just kind of wander into a situation completely unprepared, right? You just kind of get ambushed, you get flanked, you're taking out the wrong NPC first when,
Yeah. I think that's exactly it. Like, I think you
Yeah.
guys did a great job with making like a lot of variety within each faction. It's just like you mentioned, it's just sort of running in, and then suddenly you get this one.
Oh, those rushes.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, they're
Yeah.
brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah,
It's-
and you just don't even expect them half the time because you're too busy focusing on somebody in the distance, and then I don't know where you look, and there's like somebody in your face, and you're like, "Whoa, where did you
It's
come
really
from?"
good. But like if you work with your team to
Yes.
spot them,
Yes,
and
exactly.
you focus fire them,
Yep.
then you got it under control.
Yeah. Yeah, and just, doing a little bit of reconnaissance
Yeah.
beforehand.
Mhm.
And also, like, you can kind of move up and kind of take advantage of an enemy that has his back to you. You can kind of move up closer and kind of position yourself. And then, of course, you have a huge arsenal of skills and grenades, so you can kind of
Exactly.
figure out, you can sticky bomb someone and then,
Yeah,
go
exactly.
around,
That's-
pulse everyone before you start. Like, you can have all sorts of different
Yeah.
options.
I found that like when I've been playing that's exactly it. Like the coordination at the start of the fight with your team is so important that
Yeah.
like when you haven't pulled aggro and you can see them, and
Yeah.
then if you coordinate that first blast of sticky bombs and grenades
Yeah.
and
Right.
make sure that when you initiate the fight
Yeah,
that you output as much
right.
damage as possible, because that's a really great opportunity
Right.
to get.
And it's on your terms, right? Instead of
Exactly.
the enemy's terms.
And you can kind of identify which of the enemies is going to cause you the most problems.
Yeah, exactly.
And really get it in there. It's oh, there's so much.
Yeah.
There's so many we could give just every tip possible, and we'd be here for
Oh
hours.
yeah.
So I mean, in terms of like the characters and the progression and obviously the creation and customization of
Yeah.
them, that really harkens back to the RPG kind of focus that we've had for the game.
Yep.
Are you guys big RPG gamers yourself? I know there are a lot of people in the office who are.
It would be sad to say that maybe I'm not a big RPG guy, but
Mhm.
I do enjoy RPG games. Like right now, I'm playing quite a lot of Destiny.
Yeah.
And so
I
that
haven't played it yet.
yeah, it's well, it's a great game.
Yeah.
It's,
It is.
Yeah, they've definitely improved quite a lot over the years. So.
Yeah, right.
What about you, Drew? RPG guy?
Yeah, I mean, you can see I'm wearing a Mass Effect shirt right now. Yeah, I love RPGs. So I think I've dedicated about almost a decade of my life to remaking Baldur's Gate in
Wow.
3D.
Wow.
So I'm like, yeah, I'm that kind of nerd.
Yeah. So in terms of like your history of RPG games, what's kind of the game that you sunk the most time into personally?
Sank the most time in.
Yeah, like just like the one that you're like, yeah, that's.
Yeah, that's not an MMO because EverQuest 2, it was like it was a torrid love affair with that game.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, gosh, probably Baldur's Gate 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tons and tons of time into that.
That's your jam.
Yeah. Well, it used to be, but then, I mean, I say that, but I probably sank 300 hours into Skyrim or something, so.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, see, like I'm more of a story type person. I like being able to get immersed in story, and that's kind of what I'm looking forward to with our game as well. It's just finding out, because obviously, like we get so involved in our own little things that sometimes we don't even know what's happening on other teams.
And
Yeah,
because
that's
of this,
true.
you don't exactly know the story. So when you
Absolutely.
actually play the game, you're like, oh
Yeah.
my god.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm still
Had that
finding-
realization this
Yeah.
week.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
I'm
Yeah.
still finding like things out every time I go into the game when I, okay, I have to be super vague here because there's some things I can't talk about.
Yeah, right.
When I pick up a thing and it tells me a thing and I know more.
Yep.
Yeah, that thing, right. Yeah.
You guys totally know what I'm talking
I
about.
do. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, and I think that's what's actually really cool. Like we do cater towards quite a large audience as well. It's not just the true Clancy crowd. We also cater towards some RPG people. We cater
absolutely.
towards story-driven people who want
Yeah.
to play co-op. You can play it single player as well, but it's always advised. And then we also have like the PvP region for people who like just going
Yeah.
in there and shooting stuff.
I mean, like, co-op is kind of inherently fun because,
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
especially if you're playing with your friends.
Yep.
But I really enjoy our game single player as well.
It's
Like,
just
it's really a
different
lot of
approach
fun.
that you have to have,
It
right?
is,
Like,
yeah.
Well, that's exactly it. That's where it comes. Like we almost have to rethink your skills that you currently have. It's
Yeah,
kinda like
exactly.
okay, this fight looks way more deadly than what I need. Maybe I should focus on self heals, or maybe I should focus on like looking around and exposing my targets.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're not really so much into, like, drawing aggro, for example. Like, it doesn't really matter as much when you're by yourself, it turns out, right?
It's definitely a different dynamic.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so I this is the part where I asked people on the Twitters what they would like to know about the things that we're talking about. But
Nice.
problem, not many people look at my Twitter. So
What?
I know.
You need to fix this.
I know.
You're like the most popular person in the world, Hank.
That's not true.
It is true.
It's far from true.
Well, in my mind, that's the truth.
All right.
Yeah.
That's really I'm blushing a bit, so that's nice. But there are like mega fans of the Division who are super awesome, and they have a bunch of questions.
Sure.
The first one, I reckon this one's a good one. Matthew Lawrence. What plans do you have for when the user reaches the max level? Will there be stuff to do? Okay, cool. I mean, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. There's so much.
Well, it'd be silly not to, really.
Yeah. There's a whole bunch of stuff to do. I don't think we want to go into detail.
Yeah,
Yes,
probably
I'm
not.
pretty
All
sure
that
that's
stuff?
all meant to be quiet.
Yeah.
But
But yes, answer is yes.
100% yes.
Yes.
Right there.
Absolutely. In all aspects.
Yeah. And then I have a slew of questions from Joker Unique, who's like on our subreddit all the time. He's awesome.
Cool.
And he embarrassingly often knows more about the game than a lot than we do.
Okay, so we're gonna get schooled right now.
Yeah, exactly. He wants to know: can we change our appearance after we have started the game, like a barbershop or something?
I don't know the answer to this.
I believe that the only customization, as far as I'm aware, is just your gear. I think once you create your character, your face, and things like that, I believe it's set.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean,
Like real life.
Yeah.
Kind of.
like really.
I mean, well, like
Except some of us get
Well,
haircuts.
I'm sure
every
we,
now and
if we could actually set up like a barbershop in the corner, and you can get your hair trimmed every so often.
yeah, or
but-
a sex change. I mean, that's just really, really difficult. Like, It's a commitment.
It is a commitment.
Yeah,
It is
yeah.
a commitment.
Okay.
But I think it's just gear at this point.
Yeah.
But so the cosmetic system that we are talking about earlier.
Yes.
About
But you can have
20
multiple
minutes ago.
characters, right? So
Yeah, you can. Have
Yeah.
multiple
Well, that's
characters.
exactly it.
Yeah.
That is exactly it.
All right. Again, okay. I have about 8 questions from Joker. So
Yep.
we'll keep going.
Nice.
Fire away.
Nice.
Okay. All right. This one's also good. Okay, we're still with Joker. It was stated that we can change skills on the fly. Are there limits to what we can change, or do we need to respec stations? Oh, do we need to use respec stations that cost? So
Yeah.
how much freedom do we have over changing our skills?
Yeah, you can change it on the fly.
Okay, but
Yeah.
not in combat.
Well,
Can you?
yeah, you can.
You can,
It's
but
just not
it's a
advised.
risk.
It's kind of a risk, yeah. But if
Okay.
like your teammate, is like drawing aggro, you can be like,
can
hey,
stay
yeah,
on
just
cover.
hold him off for a little bit. I want to change skills. You could do that
Okay.
in theory.
That's
So-
cool.
I mean, we've done it before.
Although, yeah, it is difficult.
It's not the best idea.
yeah.
You generally want to do it in between combat.
There's a lot of
so-
downtime if you're trying to change stuff out.
Yeah, exactly.
What defensive skills do we have for someone who wants to be a tank, or play that kind of like off,
Yeah.
like a, tank?
Yeah,
type
of course.
role? Obviously, we don't have like a,
Yeah.
set classes in our game.
Right, of course.
But
Of
can you give
course.
an example of like, a skill or two that person who wants to play that kind of role might look for?
Yeah. So we do have the riot shield skill, which you're nodding, so I'm like, okay,
I like
can
this
I say
one.
this?
Yeah,
Can
no,
I
you
say
can.
this?
You can.
Yeah.
This is one of my
So we do
favorites.
have the riot shield skill, which is one of my favorites as well,
Hmm.
which basically allows you to not take cover and kind of carry your own cover, right? It's a big riot shield. You fire with the sidearm.
Yeah.
But anyways, that draws kind of aggro from all enemies.
It does actually draw aggro.
Yeah,
as
it does.
well.
It
Okay.
adds a lot of aggro. So we do have some aggro management kind of skills.
That's really cool. And I know that it has a limited amount of damage it can do.
Oh yeah,
right?
of course, yeah. It's right. You're not going to have a good time if
You
you're,
can't just stand there
yeah.
indefinitely and be like,
yeah, exactly. And it has some limits on the actions you can take as well. Like
Yeah.
you're less mobile, you move less quickly. There's lots of balancing like that in it. But I mean, it's a great tool for managing aggro.
The thing that I found out that was really cool the other day when I played, and I did not expect this at all, because obviously when you have your riot shield out, you can't use your primary or secondary weapon because
Yeah.
you can't hold an LMG
Right,
and
yeah.
a riot shield. That's just crazy. But you can use
Can
a
if you're
sidearm.
Arnie.
But what
right.
yeah, exactly. What I did completely accidentally was I used a sticky bomb while I had my riot shield up. You can do it.
I didn't even know that.
See, yeah.
I mean,
was
it makes
completely
sense
by
that you
accident.
can, right?
Yeah,
because
so
it's
you-
just like a little
Exactly.
sidearm launcher thing.
Yeah.
So,
if you have
yeah.
the riot shield equipped on one of your skills, you can also use your sticky bomb.
That's awesome.
Well, and I imagine probably your seeker mine and things like
Yeah,
that.
right, of course.
So, yeah.
Pro
Pro
tip.
tip.
Pro tips.
Yeah.
Right?
You
Um,
had the best pro tip of the
all,
day.
all these new things that we're finding out. Okay, we're moving on to Boomslang. So a lot of good questions from Joker. Unique. Thanks very much for those. Boomslang asks, will different backpacks, I think, affect the amount of gear you can carry, and bonus points for spelling affect correctly?
Aha.
Right.
Nice.
Sorry. Pet peeve. We can move on. All right. Backpacks.
No, I'm a grammar nerd as well, so
Yeah.
I appreciate that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know the answer to this one?
Yeah, they
That's
do.
you, man.
They do.
Yes.
Backpacks can.
That is it.
So the answer is
Yeah.
yes, I guess. Yeah.
But the other thing with backpacks is that you can carry certain amounts of kinds of things. So
Yes.
like with the Dark Zone contaminated loot,
Yes, exactly. So there's that as well, and both increase.
Yeah. So with the backpacks, what classifications of gear are there that I can carry? How does that exactly work? Because you know how you have like a separate amount
Yeah.
of contaminated loot you can carry.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. for the Dark
is
Zone.
everything else in the
Ev-
other?
Everything else is kind of in another category. And,
So it's binary. You have everything
Yeah.
and then contaminated loot.
exactly. And both slots can expand or decrease depending on the backpack.
The Division Zone, one of our fan sites, this one's really cool. As skills and talents can be changed throughout the game, will there be any non-reversible character stats? That's tricky.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
yeah. So you get kind of base stats from your level, and then everything else is kind of determined by your gear, and then of course your talents and your skills, and all of that can be swapped out.
Okay. Caleb from the Smartwatch podcast. Are there any specific slots that allow us to show some unique identity on our characters? I think we've We've gone in depth on that one.
Yes.
So
But,
yes,
I
definitely.
think specifically they may be asking to have like you have a specific keychain on your backpack or something, and
Oh,
might be an
okay.
identifier.
Oh, I see.
Funnily enough, that was something that we actually did talk about way back. But this was before we had the character customization we do now, and I think
Yeah.
essentially the character customization we have now essentially just
Fill that
trumps
role?
that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty awesome.
Okay. This one's from Eric's from YouTube. Does all body armor adopt the multi-layer system?
Is it all body armor?
All body armor.
Well, essentially, yes. Short answer, yes. Long answer, kind of.
Kind of. It's a bit more complicated, and I think we kind of.
Well, I think we've covered it
Yeah,
essentially.
the system is exactly as described about half an hour ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that one's easy.
Yep.
Let's have a look. Okay. Caleb again from Smartwatch Podcast. Will endgame loot progression create a homogenization of players' visual look and feel?
Partly. I guess the end game loot will obviously should look better and visually,
Yeah.
and also give you better stats in combination to the vanity gear as well. So if you want to show off some of that, like the really cool vest that you have, maybe you don't want to wear a jacket, so that way you can actually go, hey, cool, this is kind of what I want to show off, and you can walk around, the hubs and the dark zone, showing off your fancy
Yeah.
gear stuff. Like, check it out.
Right. But we have so much vanity that, like, the silhouette of characters are going to
Yeah.
be completely different.
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
colors, like all that stuff.
Mhm.
But yeah.
Yes. I'm super excited about that. The last one again, Eric's, who's our buddy Alex Noon. Is there an extensive choice of beards? How freely can we change the skills? Okay, the beards one. Is there an extensive choice of beards? That's kind of the most important thing.
Yeah. It's not as glorious as Emil's beard.
Oh,
no,
I
wish-
Emil's beard is fantastic. I
Yeah.
think you can actually probably hear the beard on the podcast.
I would
Yeah.
hope so. I'm actually going to listen out, and
It's
if I can't hear my
glorious.
beard, I'm going to be really disappointed.
Yeah.
But yes, yeah, we do have some level of customization for facial hair when
Yeah.
creating a character, and
That looks really good.
yeah, and we do have a variety between clean shaven, stubble, and beards. I don't think we have anything nearly as Gandalf as mine, but yeah, we have some beards.
As Gandalf, that's the best.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I'm not quite there yet, but getting
do we
there.
have like
Yeah.
like a Fu Manchu or like the
Ah.
David Boone?
I don't think we have anything that is like sort of hipster design facial hair.
Yeah.
I think it's more like I have been fighting in this city and I haven't had time to
Okay.
shave beard.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that David Boone is the hipster.
No, well, no.
Okay,
Yeah.
sorry to use obscure Australian cricket
Yes,
history
yeah.
for
I do know
the
I
reference.
do know the Boonster.
Yeah. For anyone who doesn't know, Google David Boone. It's
Yeah.
the most epic handlebar mo you will ever
Does
see.
do you think it gives Husey a run for his money?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think he's legit. I think it's also the combination of David Boone's amazing mustache and his pot belly.
Yeah, well, that's
That
it.
was-
That is exactly it. Yeah.
That kind of made the.
yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't the most
It was magical.
athletic looking guy. Yeah, cool.
On that note,
Yes.
on the note
Yeah.
of Australian cricket history, which is super relevant to our game, we'll leave it there. Anyway, thanks. I know you guys have a lot of work to do because we are releasing the game
Yeah.
We
scarily soon, and we have
Very soon.
the beta in December on Xbox,
Yes.
which
Sure
is
do.
Yes.
coming up very quickly because
Super exciting.
We're
Absolutely.
recording this right in the middle of October,
Yeah.
which is halfway through this month. We have November, and then
Yeah.
holy
Yeah.
balls.
Thanks
Okay.
for giving me a panic attack.
Okay, sorry. All right, so I'll let you guys get back to it. Thank you very, very much again,
Yes,
and
thank you, and thanks to everybody for asking awesome questions.
Yeah.
those are some
absolutely.
good ones. All
That
right.
was fun.
Before we head off, I'd like to remind you that the beta is just around the corner. So if you haven't pre-ordered or at least signed up, you can do that at thedivisiongame.com/beta. Also, if you'd like to get involved in the podcast conversation, you can hit me up on Twitter at Hamish Bode, as well as at The Division Game, and by using hashtag The Division. As I mentioned, we have heaps more content coming out to you guys through these podcasts, so make sure you follow us on SoundCloud so you can hear it first. That's it. Have a good one, guys.